Hey, thanks for the intro, BSN. Excited to be here. I really feel like doing little clinics like this, webinars like this. Hopefully, it makes you a better coach. I guess maybe I'm being selfish. I do it because it makes me a better coach. I have been coached for 26 years, and as my body breaks down, hopefully my mind for a while keeps getting better. And I feel like I got some stuff to share with some people that might be watching. So hopefully my goals in this 20 to 30 minute video are to give you some things you can immediately take home. I try to go to about 6 clinics or in-person things a year. And when I leave a presentation, I always hate it if I can't actually have something in hand. So as we go, I'll be moving around on the screen here and showing you some things you can take and use in your program right away. Not even wrestling. I also coach football. I'm our strength coach. And I think some of the things you take from this, you could apply to other coaches or philosophies. So first thing on there, we got this QR code. I'm old. I keep calling it a UPC code, but I think that's for food or something. My students keep saying, Coach, it's a QR code. And I appreciate them putting this on here for me. So you could swipe this and then you'll have the entire presentation where you can have all these links I'm sharing. A lot of the stuff I'm doing on here, we're from other coaches. You know, I like to say great coaches, good coaches coach and great coaches steal, you know, like that quote at the bottom. If we don't take the time to show kids the right way, someone with more time will show them the wrong way. You'll see that on every single slide. Coaching takes a lot of time. I feel like there are time management techniques, which we'll show you in here, and hopefully this helps. But it really is never going to be short, right? It's about giving kids time. And I stole that from my high school wrestling coach, Howard Jones. Him and my dad, top 2 influences on my life. And you guys are going to be influencing other people. So when I reference people, it's not to name drop. It's to give respect and be grateful for the people that helped me. So let's do this. Navigating your season, practice planning, periodization, personalization for a whole program in today's coaching world. I added a little highlight film there in case you want to see what our program is and about. One of my former students did that video. It's one of my favorite ones we've done, and we're not going to show it here. I'll let you do a little homework on your own. So as we're getting into this, really the word is going to be periodization. If I don't say it much more after this, this is about trying to take your season, 3 to 4 month season, or your year, and not burning kids out, peaking at the right time, making sure you garner interest, not just in your high school program, but K through 12. In wrestling, most people on here are going to be wrestling coaches, which A means you're nuts, right? We're a little bit crazy. If I twitch a lot, you know, our necks hurt, our shoulders hurt. And then we want to pass this on to kids. So we want to make sure we're passing it on better than what it was passed on to us. I have a lot of injuries. I've had 13 surgeries. I went to the orthopedic for my neck yesterday. You won't see me look real far to the left. We want to periodize. It's not a word, but you know what I mean. Our training so the kids don't end up hurting like we did when they're older. In fact, we want them to be better than we were, and better when they leave us as people and as physical people as well as mental people. So first things first, when we're doing that, when we're planning our whole thing, why are you coaching? For me, when we do these clinics, I really hate it when somebody says like, well, I love wrestling, so I'm coaching. Ooh, I don't know if I want to coach with you. I love kids, and I can relate to them best through wrestling or through football, baseball, basketball, mat, field, court, pool, whatever it is you do, track. You relate to them through that. We should love people. And what we do is we're going to provide them this thing we have in common. So I have wrestling most in common with the kids I have in class. I teach strength training, but I got there through wrestling, through football, through my high school wrestling and football. And dad, he was a coach. So we end up here. But they all did this. They all loved the people they were with. So first thing is we got to love. There's nothing I hate when you walk by more than when you walk by a kid in the hallway and you hear him tell a different person every day that he loves them. I'm like, love is commitment, right? So we got to be committed to our program and committed to our kids. And if we're not committed to them, we're going to have a lot of problem in our program. If you love wrestling and are committed to wrestling, well, you could still cheat. You could still be a pretty dirty coach, right? But if you love those kids and those people, and we just appreciate our sport, it's going to guide you a lot different. So Know Your Why. Know Your Why by Simon Sinek. Great book in establishing your why. I'll be referencing a few books. So, more than the periodization here that we'll come up with is the daily texting, the daily phone call. All my coaches sort of call or text a kid once a day, check on them, how you doing. They keep it short, nothing we want to get in trouble with, but like, we want to contact kids every day outside the room. You can't hardly say you love your kids or that you're really committed to your kids if you're only going to talk to them from 3 to 5 every day, only if they win or lose. Like, you lost on Sunday, here's a text, how you doing? And the last thing before we leave this slide, another great book is, just the Habits of Successful People by Stephen Covey. And he says, begin with the end in mind. Like, what's the end goal in their life, right? To be successful people, to be the best versions of themselves they can be, and to win a state title, win a national title, win a world title. I get to go to Columbia next month to coach Pan Am Games, U15 Pan Am Games. Super excited about it, but that's an end goal for some kids. But for me, I'm looking at those 15-year-olds and I'm like, hey, how can I impact them later? So this schedule, you got to look at it in little chunks and say, well, where is this kid going? And for me, most of my kids work, they do more than one sport. Most of my kids do more than one sport. I coach football. I do more than one sport. I teach weightlifting, and most of those kids do more than one sport. But there is still a way that we're going to organize this. So I take this, I'm looking at weightlifting, right? Major competitions in there, your volume, intensity, your skill training. I got 2 different graphs there, right? The top one, the bottom one. One's a little more simple, but both talk about peaking in your competition phase, your in season, you're peaking. We want to peak, right? I want you to have little mini peaks. I want you to have little valleys, but because we might go like this, if you're following my hand, throughout the year, like Fargo, that should be a peak, right? Well, maybe you're a high school coach and your in season, your state finals is the big peak for you. And Fargo in wrestling is like a mini peak for you, but maybe you're a club coach and you're going to hang your hat on Fargo. Like, you got to decide for you when those peaks and valleys are, but there's more than one of them. Let's not pretend that there should only be one peak in life, right? We don't ever want to really peak in life. We want to keep peaking. So keep your kids going that way. And this chart, you got to draw this for you. You got to take that, look at your off season, look at your in season, and you can draw this and stretch this to be 52 weeks, not a 3-month thing. So how's that look for me? This is my program snapshot. This is K through 12. I have a K through 12 club. I have 4-year-olds through 5th-year-olds that do the elementary portion, but then I also have a league, right? It's 3 weeks. Doesn't sound much like the league, but those kids think they wrestle in their 2nd grade. Mine, 3 weeks. Holy cow, 3 weeks. Like, I've wrestled when they're a senior in high school. I've wrestled since 3rd grade. Yeah. 3rd, 4th, 5th grade for you, buddy, was a total of 9 weeks that we didn't even go every day. It was really closer to, 9 days over 3 weeks, but they believe it and they believe in it. And we got to count that as part of our program snapshots. So you can see there, I'm not going to read everything, but in August, we start with some Friday night football camps. On a Friday night, there's a home football game. You're going to come in there for a half. You're going to go out at halftime, sit with mom and dad. This kid's got a long time in the stands, so they're going to come in there. November, we're going to pick up 2 nights a week camp, and we're sliding through, right? December, January, March. Our elementary is 2 nights a week. Our high school season's 5 nights a week. Our middle school is building through December. Really, they're starting in January, February, you can see. But then as we go into the off season. I got what we do in June and July. And then this goes again, right? It's reciprocal. If this was on my phone, I'd be hitting repeat. So as we do this, I need you to keep following the overall program shot. But then I think most of you guys are going to be on here for your high school season. So this is what I do. This is my high school season. So in our preseason, I'm at football practice. I want everybody to understand that I truly believe in more than one sport. It's not for everybody, I know, but I believe in it, and it works for us. In Jeffersonville, I got 25 football players, 5 soccer players, 1 tennis player, 3 cross-country runners. That's just on the guys' team. Our girls' team begins this year. I already got 10 girls that have been wrestling, but we're going to keep expanding that. So I'm down here on our preseason, right? We're going to do that twice a week. You got to figure out what's best for you. So we do sled drags, sled runs, a super mile, which is including a stadium stair that goes a mile, and med balls. Those are like our big four things, right? Because they already lift weights with me 5 days a week in class. I'm not going to be the coach that repeats it after school. We got a lot of coaches around that thinks like, well, it's preseason, we got to lift. Are all your kids in lifting class? Or flip it, right? You don't have lifting class. You got to be lifting after school. You got to lift sometime. If you don't have lifting class, you guys should be lifting year round in practice. I'm lucky. We have this class. My kids lift 5 days a week year round until the summer. Then we got to figure it out. But even then, like my kids have lifted 180 times, and then summer hits. Summer now is short for us. It's only 8 weeks. So we do some things in the summer, but I do get them, 10 months a year lifting with me in class. So after that, we move into, we got this August, September, 1 to 2 days a week. In September, it's growing. We start adding wrestling drills in September. In August, we try to get them to a fall sport. Then we start kind of lifting 2 days a week. But so we start hitting our drill sets, right, in September. October, run and wrestle, right? Run and wrestle. Most of our kids are coming out because I'm coming out because I love the Legion of Doom. And I went to see Macho Man when he was kicked out. Macho Man was kicked out for time being, and he was Mr. X, and he wore that was my first live WWE event. We could go into that, have a whole nother slideshow about Mr. X. But run and wrestle. So we're running and wrestling now fully in October. We're trying to go 4 days a week in October. We do take 2 weeks off in our fall break. I'm at school. So during our fall break, we kind of change things a bit. Like a lot of people think it's crazy that we don't do anything over fall break. That's my last 2 weeks I'm giving them before November, December, January, February. And then in March, they're all coaching elementary teams. So in my periodization set, I give them off. I know in some other coaches, they don't give them off, or maybe they do 2-a-days there. We don't do anything over that time. And I don't feel like it hurts them because I've just had a great preseason of August, September, lifting 5 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week after school. So in the last 2 weeks of October, we go 4 days a week. We run and wrestle every day. You could say, well, Coach Strug, you've said before that running isn't great for wrestling. Yeah, we don't run much in season. But like you're athletes and you can't run. I'm not a big believer that like people just don't run. Like it's a life skill, right? Let's be able to go for a jog. So in season for wrestling conditioning, we don't run. We do some sprints. In January, we do some running for more of a mental conditioning. We see how fast they can get their mile 1 day a week. Like, so they can see statistically they're getting in better shape. They don't even practice it every day, but they're getting in better shape because they're coming in the morning before school 2 days a week. They got this. So we're in November. We start live matches on Saturdays. Once the season hits, November, December, January, if we have a Saturday off, we don't bring them in. We've already stolen all these kids' Saturdays. And then we say to them, hey, we got 10 weeks of off-season freestyle and Greco training. So if we can have a weekend off for 2 reasons, one for them, so they don't tell me they're burnt out, because usually we love the sport more than they do. We wouldn't be doing it at 46 years old. But we also got to add some time for our family. So force yourself for that family time on that weekend off. So now we're into November. If we don't have a competition, we don't practice. In November, we were in phase 1 and 1.5 practice. That means that in my phases, we might have in the beginning of the season some long practices. We've got to teach rules and stuff, 2.5 hours in November. That seems long. I'm not a big believer in it, but I don't know how to fit it in. So we're going 1 10-minute conditioning in that, push-ups, sit-ups, quick, right? And we're moving into 1.5. So that means 1 10-minute live go of situations, or 1.5 phases. November, the end of it, we're down to phase 2. December, phase 3, 2.5 and 3 in January. So those phases would be, a practice would typically look like a 10-minute conditioning, maybe like a 20-minute drill, right? A little bit different. Conditioning is just push-up, sit-up, jumping, stuff like that. So we're in 2-phase conditioning, 2-phase live. We have 2 10-minute segments of live. Eventually in 2.5, we got conditioning, live drilling, all that. Another conditioning, live drilling, all that. Then a half one, so a 5-minute one. By January to peak, our practices are starting to look like an hour. So I started with these real long ones, but in January, February, we're down to an hour, and I got a 3-phase. I got a 10-minute conditioning, a 10-minute drill, 10-minute live, and I repeat that 3 times. That's what works for us. It isn't always specifically that, but you can see some practice plans here coming up. We finished the season, and now we're late state tourney. You can see the top left there. We practices are shorter. Now, you see, I said an hour, right? 2:45 to 4, but that's an hour of on the mat time. We might have mental imagery stuff. We might have a yoga session. We might have meetings for fundraisers and stuff we got to go over. So I schedule it so all these kids can fit in there, but the actual on the mat time is only an hour. We go down to postseason. We're big in freestyle and Greco here. Actually, we love Greco. So you can see in this time in March, April, May, we're starting to get into that specifically. Not much folk style at all. First, personally, by that time of the year, I'm ready to puke. If you tell me folk style, like, let's just not do it then if we're going to do folk style, because I need to have something different. Maybe my ADD kicks in. I got to have something different. So you can see there in March, we started elementary league, but this is our high school's doing it. So this is high school team periodization. We might have a practice once a week there in March till spring break, just to keep them on the mat, or if there's a USA wrestling competition coming up. April, May, now we're 2 to 3 weeks freestyle and Greco. We're still lifting 5 days a week in class. We lift basically right now, we're in a phase of upper body, lower body, lower body, athletic development circuit. That's a 5-day thing. That changes as the year goes, but that's where we're at now. And then summer hits. We got June. We lift 2 days a week. We have up mat 1 day a week. If somebody needs more, we do that. Because some people might be going to Fargo, duels, national or even world competitions. So in June, as far as the norm, is 2 to 3 days a week there, and then a 1 week long, 4-night long. When I say 1 week, 1 week long camp that we'll go somewhere. This year we went to Iowa. We'll go to Illinois. Somewhere in the country we're going that's out of state. So we don't see the same teams. Give a plug for Iron Sharpens Iron Wrestling. They have a fantastic camp. We've been going to that. And now July, we really start to back off unless we have a Fargo group. If we have a Fargo group, we're going hard for them right before they leave for Fargo camp, make weight, fine tune. But if not, we're done. We go canoeing 1 day in July, and I constantly am on them, like, are you going to football weightlifting? Are you going to soccer weightlifting? Are you going to volleyball weightlifting, to girls soccer? We got girls wrestling now. And then this restarts in August. So really I could hit back on here and we're back for the next part of the discussion, or we repeat. I think if back in the day when we didn't have weightlifting here, if you're asking like, well, what do we do if we don't have weightlifting? My kids lifted 2 to 4 days for 30 minutes all season, right? And people would say, well, in season, you should only lift 2 days a week. I don't believe that. I think you have to see how much volume they're getting, and you have to manage that. So 2 days a week, if it's 2.5-hour sessions, but maybe 30 minutes every day of the week, you got to fit it into your schedule. So we would run groups, right? 30 minutes in the weight room, then you move 30 minutes to mat 1, 30 minutes to mat 2. So this group A might be mat 1 day and mat 2, then they're done. The group B might be on mat 2, then in the weight room. Group C might be in the weight room and then on the mat, and that would just keep rotating. So you got to kind of find that what works for you. I can help you with it if you call. Well, where did I get all this, right? So exactly 20 minutes in, we're gonna go for close to 30. Put it all together. Here's what I want you to be able to take with you. If you look at this first one season worth of my practices. I think sharing is awesome. I didn't come up with this all on my own. This is all my typing. So when you see all the misspelled words and what kid I'm yelling at that day, like this was basically last year's practices. I don't like it when coaches come in unplanned. I'm a teacher, right? I got to have lesson plans ready. And somebody's like, oh, I like to wing practice. I just watch and see what they need to work on. That's great on a Monday after a tournament, but where are you going to go? How you know what you did? I'll literally have a packet on my desk. This second thing down here, our daily routines and techniques, that's on my desk. And I check off, and I know how many times we hit our double leg series last season. This coming season, I know we were lacking on like sprawl drills, down blocking and go behind, stuff like that, like defensive. So I've already written out, if you look at this, my next year's first 3 weeks, and I have more sprawling in than I did last year. And I know that. If I was a math teacher, I would know where we were making the problems wrong, and I'd spend more time on that. A football coach does the same thing, right? Like stat driven. I'm stat driven. I know when I watch all our film, our Matt boss, we watch that, and I can tell you how many times, like, man, we got taken down more times this year than last year, or we were better at first shot defense this year than last year. I know that, and all my schedules go to that. So if you look at these, I'm not going to click on them now because technologically I don't know how to get back, but 1 season worth of my practices right there. All our daily routines and techniques on this second one. So like you could see all the deadlifts. I just left the weight room. All the double legs that we do and what I call them. This is my language. You probably can't just steal it and do it, but you can use it as a guide. You could see my periodization through November, December, January, and February in a little table that I drew on there with Microsoft Word. And then as you go through it, you can see what we do in the preseason. There's 1 page. That's what we repeat in the preseason. Then I have my list of moves, and then I have my list of how I put them together. So when you see on there, there's moves like single leg series. Well, that's just the names of the single legs. Now later, if you look down there, it might be 2 on 1, 2 of this, 2 on 1, 2 of this, 2 on 1, 2 of this, kind of vibe going 1 on 1, 2 of this, 1 on 1, 2 of this, and you keep going through there. And that's how I build the drill set. So we actually teach technique, but then we drill like kind of for conditioning at a little faster pace, a little more real in our drills. So we might in a practice be drilling, teaching, working moves. And then over here, this is fast. There's no talk. Let's push. We're not stopping you. And you'll see that in there. Just if he does this, then you do this. If he does this, then you do this. If he does this, you do this. And our kids start to work that in chains. That's what you'll see in there. And then my last thing here, my guiding statements. When I need like some motivation or to remember who I am as a coach, I reread those guiding statements. I don't want to click on it, but it's just stuff like if we don't take the time to show kids the right way, someone with more time will show them the wrong way. It's stuff like remember, it's lonely at the top, not because it's lonely at the top because of what it takes to get there, let alone stay there. I talk about like just things that I want to repeat in practice, that we want to metaphorically and physically have a bigger heart. We push hard to grow our heart, right? Like athletes have a bigger heart. How hard are you pushing? Do you have the biggest heart out there? That's a metaphor. And here, when I first started coaching, you're trying to figure out like, oh my God, look at this. This is 26 years of work you'll be clicking on. A coach told me one time, coach out of the worst kid on the team. I've always remembered that. Coach out of the worst kid on the team. There's a cuss word in there. Because, if you can raise that bottom level, if we can put our bottom level here or our top levels high, I add to that. Coach out of the worst kid on the team, but coach to the best kid. So we're coaching really hard the worst kid on the team, but we're showing the moves the best kid on the team needs to know. We're pushing the conditioning to the level the best kid on the team needs. So this kid's not being forgotten, but I got to raise that bottom up. The bottom is usually my freshmen and sophomores, right? And if I can raise that bottom, my juniors and seniors are going to be better. We got stuff in there like the 10-80-10 philosophy. I'm a teacher. I want to help every kid in class I can, but in the wrestling room, like wrestling's not for everybody. It's a combative sport. I hope they go to something else if they don't like that physical contact. But it's to reminding me that 10% of kids are at the top, 80% are in the middle, and there's 10% we got to get rid of, right? They're gonna drain our team. So the 10-80-10 philosophy is let's grab an 80. Let's take an 80, pull them to top 10. These are my guiding statements that keep me motivated as we go. Some more articles you might like, 2 books on peaking, periodization. These are just 4 articles, 2 by Steve Frazier, Olympic gold medalist, 1 by Rob Schwartz, the strength and conditioning combatives coach at the Olympic Training Center, 1 by a guy named Danny Struck. You could take these, learn wrestling specific peaking, 2 books that I like for athletic peaking, making your own planning, some places you could go find that. Mike Clayton at USA Wrestling does a phenomenal, Mike Cow, his favorite word, phenomenal job with digital practice planning guides. You could also, just this list of wrestling drills and practice plans that I found on the internet. 3 books that I really liked that in my early days that I used, like laid them on the desk. Because when I started coaching, there wasn't internet, and I would open these and I would look in these books where I need a game. I need to know what to do at practice in January. I need to know what to do at practice in July. 3 books I really liked for that you can lay on your desk. So my season ends. I did all that stuff. I did it for years. I got my periodization going. I did it for years. Season ends. What do? In the season evaluation, every kid fills that out. You can look at it. You can steal it if you want. That guides me next year. Oh, man, I had 5 varsity kids that said they didn't feel good at this tournament. I wonder why that is. Let me look at my practices. I keep a list of changes on my phone every day. I just write into my phone what I'm going to be working on. And that's my list. So right here is my list of what to do better in 2023. Again, it's not edited. It's not spell checked. It's not censored. So I keep that on my phone. I just copy and pasted it over to you guys so you can see, like, man, work on sprawling, or we need a new mat. Mat 3 looks terrible. And I make sure I'm checking those off. And when I have a coaches meeting right before season starts, I go to my list of coaching changes and I make sure that I'm addressing all of those things with my staff, with myself. I'm seeing if we got it. So my challenge to you is start writing next year now. Like when you go back and you look a couple slides back, let's see, where did I put that? Right here on 1 season worth of my practice. You can see I have next year's first 3 weeks already written. In my language, it might look like a lot on paper, but I know my pace, and I know that I over plan so that I'm not sitting there going, what do I do? And, but I'm already working on that. I already got 3 weeks written. Well, I don't like to write 3 weeks in advance. How do I know what they're on day 2? Man, I got a roadmap. Just because you take a detour, if I drive to New York from Jeffersonville, Indiana, like I might take a detour with the world's largest ball of yarn, or maybe a couple of my different craft diet Coke makers. But on the way there, I might take that detour and I'm hopping back on. So if you don't have like a 3 week or a 3 month map, kind of shame on you. Or I hope my team wrestles your team because I think we'll be more prepared. And that's what I want you to get from this. I hope you get something from it. I want to share with you my contact information because I kind of like seeing who's on here. So you got my email, my phone, all our social media. And, if I can do anything to help you guys out, that's really why I'm on here. Or you can do something to help me out. If I can steal from you, good coaches coach and great coaches steal some of this, and let me steal something from you. Thanks for being on here, and shoot me an email.